there, gang, and welcome to a very special episode of Displaying Model Behavior. We are not broadcasting from Model Behavior Towers, which is up there in the corner. No, we are going to hit the streets. We are going to go out into Osaka, and we are going to go on the hunt for Marvel Legends, because some folks say that it's not possible to collect Marvel Legends in Japan. However, if you know the right places to go to and the right shelves to rummage through, you can find some absolute gems. So I'm going to leave my little Mama-san bike here at the station, and before we go any further, first of all, you can see how bright, hot, gloriously sunny and incredibly hot it is. But we do have a little Suzushi, which is a nice breeze, as you can see from those flags, so it does mean that it's perfect weather for a little Chuhai. And of course, I love Japan because everything, all the signs are in anime. People think like, oh, well, how can I get around? You know, there's no English text. Oh, don't worry. We all speak the universal language of anime cartoons. You'll understand everything just fine. So yes, in the heat of the summertime, there's only one thing to really take the edge off, and that's a little Chuhai, which is a fizzy, alcoholic, fruit-based beverage, basically. And my favorite is Strong Zero. 9%, which is a little bit crazy, but also delicious. And now we're on the Chuo line, making our way into Osaka Central. It's only about 15 minutes. It's a real easy trip, and you get to take a little look at life on a Japanese train. I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect. It's nothing too crazy. You might have thought there'd be like anime characters jumping around all over the place. No, surprisingly mundane. And lo, we have arrived at our first destination. This is Shinsai Bashi Station. And one of my favorite aspects of this station is the fact that it plays so heavy into just all the classic cliches of Japan, such as welcoming you with a huge Godzilla statue. This thing is so wicked. I gotta admit, my jaw kind of dropped when I first saw it. Not just because it's an awesome, massive Godzilla statue. I don't think that was the only Godzilla. Ho! How right they were. But just the fact that this is just a regular awesome thing just out in Japan. Someone went, well, you know what, if we're building this station, it's gotta have a Godzilla statue. And you know what? That person was right. Now that we're above ground, it's time to go to our first port of call, which is Adamski, a fantastic second-hand store that has loads of treasures. When you are out and about in Osaka, though, you do have to be on the lookout for the kart racers. You got to keep your head on a swivel. There's purple shells flying everywhere, bananas in the streets. It's a lot. Hey guys, well, we're here in Namba, and there are a whole lot of shops that we're going to get to go around, and I'm going to take you with me through all of them. So, as I normally say in the confines of my home, let's not stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne. Let's walk through them. So here you go, we are at Adamski, and this place, I could just go here every day, because there's always something new. I'm just going to focus on the Marvel Legends, but honestly, it is just a treasure trove of stuff that people bring and buy and sell. You never know what little gem you're going to find. And here we have our Marvel Legends section. All of these secondhand, brought in by people who had collections or just found some somewhere, and it's such a great smorgasbord, if you will, of rare finds like Gladiator here. Gladiator for the equivalent of about $5. Holy potatoes. This guy, you know, he's very hard to come by, and especially now that we're getting more of the Shi'ar characters and the Starjammers, I should have picked him up, to be honest. I didn't, and now I actually regret it. We got Richard E. Grant's Loki. You see how incredibly diverse these things are. Just no rhyme or reason as to what pops up, which makes it so much fun. Because you got Nico Minoru here, and again, when I was collecting all these different Marvel Legends, just crazy ones that I wanted, I really wanted to get my hands on that one. Speaking of, the Heroes Reborn Iron Man, which is such a Marmite figure. Some people love this design, me included, and other people are like, that is the ugliest Marvel Legend I've ever seen. Actually, I don't think anyone thinks it's the ugliest, but a lot of people don't like that Rob Liefeld's Jim Lee reimagined Iron Man armor. I think it looks cool. I love the smokestacks on the back, and there are rumors that we're going to be getting a new one next year. Is that going to come to fruition? Who knows, but I'm excited to find out. You got a little modular Iron Man back there as well. Iron Man, he always gets a lot of love on the shelf. I just saw a little hint of Lady Deathstrike there. I love Marivas. And then you get all these little small chibi gachapon type figures as well. I bought a whole bunch of those. Age of Apocalypse, are we ever going to get more Age of Apocalypse figures? I'm dubious. And a super modern character there, Null, getting some little chibi treatment as well. These are things I think that just come in the Japanese vending machines, these small little characters, but they're a lot of fun. And you never know what's going to be on the pegs when you come over here. So now we've got the vaunted cabinet with the more high-end stuff, and this gets exciting because again, you have things like this little Deadpool minifigure display case that, like, I would have never come across this at a random modern toy store. It's always these second-hand ones that just have these little unearthed treasures to get excited about. And I'll admit, being the big kid I am, things like this get me excited. Look at that Jean Grey from Select. Now, I wouldn't necessarily want the figure, although it does look cool, but that Phoenix fire effect behind her, at the risk of being cliche, it's straight fire. Like, if I was, again, going crazy, I would buy that just for that Phoenix fire effect, and I'd put my regular Marvel Legends Jean in front of it, and biggity bam, especially got a Mafex Jean Phoenix coming out. That would work well. Now, this Venom from Revoltech, I know we're going off the Marvel Legends train a bit, but I was always tempted to pick him up. But everything that people tell me is that generally it's not a good figure, and he's just, you won't like him when you get him out of the box. Little Black Widow rider's bike there, and actually that is really nice. You know, I bought a separate bike for my super articulated Black Widow, but the Marvel Legends bike also, it's pretty beautiful. And the price that they're selling that for is very good. It's about 25 bucks, give or take. Now, in this cabinet, I love this cabinet because it has such a crazy eclectic bunch of figures, and some really modern ones as well that I was quite surprised by. And oof, that old Cyclops there, he was one I was after for a long time. But you see the yellow and blue Gambit, so clearly someone has imported that figure. Some hardcore collector got hold of him in Japan, probably shipping in from Hong Kong or somewhere, and then they were like, well, I gotta go, maybe I can't take him with me, so to the secondhand store he goes. But then also, look, you got the Cyclops and Phoenix, you got the Phoenix Saga Cyclops, who is in high demand. And the only problem with this store, with Adamski, is that they do generally know what things are worth. So you will find the occasional bargain like that loose Gladiator for, you know, 10 bucks. But then you'll also have ones like that Dark Phoenix Cyclops who's about $30 or $40. They ain't no fools. They're gonna price things according to the market. And there's an old Toy Biz Carnage. I always quite like that one. And then the Revoltech Spider-Man, who I just, you know, I always wanted like a more high-end Spider-Man, but that one never really did it for me, I've got to admit. The Blob, ladies and gentlemen, when I saw him out of the box in person for the first time, I was actually blown away by how great he looked. Unfortunately, as I said, they know what these things are worth, especially in Japan where they're really hard to come by. But then also this Apocalypse, the Toy Biz Build-A-Figure. This was the first time I've seen this guy in person with my own eyes, and man, whew, he kind of blew me away. Space Venom, again, I would have given my eye teeth for him originally, but now, of course, he's a lot easier, to find. Also, I'm surprised that I didn't linger longer. That's a little tongue twister. I didn't linger longer over the in-box Mystique as well, who I would love to get to add to my Brotherhood of Mutants. But again, she's really expensive. They know what she's worth. They're like, oh, you want Mystique without the ugly animated paint shading? Well, then you're going to have to pony up the dough. Now we're going to go to our next location, which is Book Off. Book Off is a huge chain of second-hand stores. Adamski, that we were just in, that was more of a one-off place, whereas Book Off, you'll have 5, 6, 7 Book Offs in every major city. So we're going to walk through the center of Namba, which is the major tourist food section of the city, and you got these great stores with the big animatronic creatures and decorations outside. It's as classically Japan as you can imagine, and it's such a fun place to go through. But we're not here for that. We're here for action figures. So let's take a look. And instantly, we see that they've got just the most ridiculous bunch of random finds, including this Iron Man 3 set with the Karamak Iron Man, which, you know, you had to buy if you wanted to get your hands on a Happy Hogan. That's the way they do these things. But still, it is kind of a fun little set and just nice to find here. Then we got some SH Figure Arts pieces. All the SH Figure Arts, I'm surprised by how expensive they are. Because I thought, oh, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the Andrew Garfield, oh, they're going to be cheaper over here because this is where they come from. No, they're really expensive as well. Mafex are cheaper, but Figure Arts, they didn't come to play. They're like, nah, Planet Earth, these are the prices. You're got to deal with it. But this, not a classic Marvel Legends type thing, but it is under the Marvel Legends banner, and I kind of adore it. We've got this front cover recreation of the first Fantastic Four issue, and I love it. It's a bit goofy, a bit ridiculous, but also super cool. I mean, it's the best part of about $80, so it's more than I would want to spend on this, but nonetheless, I didn't even know this thing existed until I saw it here on the shelf, so I was really quite taken aback by that. I think it's a really cool concept, and I'd love to see a more modern version, because here I feel the human figures, the Fantastic Four, they all look a bit too basic and cartoony, but it's a really cool concept nonetheless. Then we got like this little Disney MCU display and the armor figures from Figure Arts, and these kind of had my heart. So this is a triple mashup, this figure. It's Wolverine, Iron Man, and Venom. Just throw all the franchises in together. It's quite a fun idea. But the whole tech online, they do look wicked. And they're all made out of metal as well. So they're really, really high-end figures. And a gorgeous, gorgeous Figure Arts Iron Man from the MCU. Again, not Marvel Legends though. So unsurprisingly, in Japan, you're going to get a whole bunch of Figure Arts and Mafex, but Legends are just, they don't generally come out here. They do, but you gotta hunt for them, and that's half the fun. Again, Revoltech Venom popping up to tempt me, but I listened to the words of the folks in my comments and on the channel, just saying, honestly dude, you don't want him. You might think you do, and those images on the back might look super fun and pretty, and I do love the comic book style that Revoltech do their boxes. They do always look awesome, but genuinely, I'm going to trust you guys. I'm going to wait for a better third-party Venom, but yeah, that guy's not it from what I understand. And I have had some issues with Revoltech figures, so I will stand back. Now we got ourselves some more of those Tech-On figures, and this is kind of the crown jewel of the line, I think. The Iron Man, Captain America, he's just so striking. If I was only going to get one from the line, I'd be real tempted to get this guy, because with the blast effects as well, he really is very eye-catching, kind of pops off the shelf. Then if we gotta have a little rummage, a little dig and a rummage, but it seems like besides some random Star Wars Black Series figures, there's not much else on these shelves to take my fancy. But it's interesting just to see some of the prices that other things go for as well, because again, if you want to collect the classic Western figures, oof, it's going to cost you a little bit more. And just completely randomly, we find ourselves a little Dormammu from a couple of years ago. But ultimately, I have to say, Book Off, not the strongest when it comes to finding Marvel Legends. So, we weren't able to find very much in that Book Off, but luckily, we're in the right place, so we got a whole bunch more shops to go through. And now guys, I gotta tell you, there's a magical place, we're on our way there, with toys in the millions all under one roof. It's called Toys R Us, and they're still in business in Japan. I was very surprised when I saw the logo for this shop pop up in front of me, and I was like, oh my goodness. It's time for a little nostalgia bomb. We're back in Toys R Us. And they did have a good Marvel Legends selection of modern Marvel Legends. The first time I came here, they had the Copperhead wave, and I was like, oh, we're up to date. And then I came back here this time, and it was almost scorched earth. So they must have had a bit of an about turn, because we got the Rose, we got Hoodie Miles Morales, but that's surprisingly about as far as we go. So we're quite up to date, but in this particular visit, boy, they had stripped the shelves. Although, I mean, really, it doesn't get more up to date than the Skrull Queen 2-pack right here. So Toys R Us, it's a bit of a tease, because they do have these up-to-date figures, but then completely unreliable as to how long they're on the shelves for or where they ultimately went. I was really surprised coming in here that this was all they had. And you can see they got it on tight security as well. People in Japan don't steal. I feel like it's a little bit surplus to requirements. Nonetheless, though, for about 6,000 yen, it's a good price. And now we need to refuel, because toy hunting is hungry work, and honestly, if you haven't eaten a Japanese convenience store sandwich, you don't know what you're missing. And yep, that is a fruit and cream sandwich selection there. These are just the best darn convenience store sandwiches you're ever going to eat. And now that we've had our food, we can go to Hero Gong. And Hero Gong was actually where I bought my first Marvel Legend. True story. Well, first modern Marvel Legend. There you go, a little caveat. This was in 2015. I went here with my girlfriend, and girlfriend at the time, and I saw Sensational Spider-Man. I was like, oh my, they've made a Ben Reilly Sensational Spider-Man? And she was like, yeah, that's awesome. Who? What? Who? So then 30 minutes later, after I explained how awesome Ben Reilly was, she was like, oh, do you want me to buy it for you? And that was just my first Marvel Legend there. I dipped my toe into a larger world, and I said to myself, I'm only going to collect the Clone Saga figures. Oh, how wrong I was. But you can see we've got some very up-to-date modern Marvel Legends. We've got the Spider-Verse wave right here. And we've got Japanese Spider-Man as well, who of course over here is just called Spider-Man. Joking aside, you can see the price there, 6,800 yen. It is more expensive than we're used to. That's going to equate to about $40. So yeah, the new releases, real expensive, man. Real expensive. And now we even got the up-to-date Rogue, so we're not too far behind. It's just that, you know, it's difficult to buy them for reviews because they are a couple of months behind. It means that most people have got their reviews out already. So it's not something that I can really rely on for regular channel content, because I'm going to be paying almost twice as much for the figures, and then I'm going to be behind the times when it comes to doing the reviews. So it's not such a viable option, but nonetheless, it's cool to see them here. See Spider-Punk as well, and of course, the cyborg Spider-Woman, who was right up there with Rintrah as a bait-and-switch type character, where you think, oh, well, this one's getting an action figure, and a big action figure. I can't wait to see how involved they are in the movie, and the answer is not very much. And then Blob here as well, but again, he's going for like the best part of $100 over here. And I guess, hey look, it's the Blob. He's heavy. He's going to cost a lot to ship, and boy howdy, yeah, does he ever. But this 2099 Scarlet Spider, when you consider that he's half the price of what the Figure Arts one is going to be, I was thinking to myself, do I need to hold out for the Figure Arts? Okay, these are just some random, weird statues that they have. But on this second floor, we've got another little treasure trove of stuff. So we're going to go up to the second floor of Hero Gong, and we're going to take a little look at what they have on offer. So here we go again with the wonderful bric-a-brac type selection of action figures, where you see them and you think, how did you get here? You know, so more modern ones, yes, you understand. And even some of the kind of 2015, 2016 Marvel Legends, yeah. But then you get some really old selects. You got this Captain America Red Skull, who actually does look fantastic. But then we hit the mother load when it comes to old school pre-Marvel Legends action figures. I remember for a time, this Spider-Man right here was really like the best Spidey out there, with the articulation, the web patterns, the wonderful wash on there as well. Yeah, I know that his proportions aren't the most anatomically correct in the world, but nonetheless, they look really great. Then we've got the OG retro figures. So obviously, what the original... Yeah, well, these are the original that our current retro figures are based off of. And I gotta say that Hasbro do recreate the look perfectly, but let's get a new modern Marvel Legends Man-Spider. How much fun would that be? That would have to be a deluxe, but what a deluxe it would be. And then, that's such a staple of old school action figures, is we're gonna take your classic character and stick a load of random stuff on them, because it's now Aqua Adventure Spider-Man. Because why not? You know, action figures ain't gonna sell themselves. And now we're going to make our way over to Jungle. And Jungle, again, is just one of those stores that has a little bit of everything. But they do particularly have some old, retro, off-the-wall Marvel Legends. But before that, Onakasuita. I'm getting hungry. That's what it is in Japanese, Onakasuita. And this is my favorite convenience store snack from Lawson's. You got a holy trinity of convenience stores here. Lawson's, Family Mart, and 7-Eleven. And the Lawson's chicken nuggets, oh my goodness. These things are the absolute bomb. Again, like the sandwiches. You haven't really tasted a proper one until you've had a Japanese convenience store one. And now refueled and refreshed, we're here at Jungle. And just like 90s music people would say, Jungle is massive. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. And we've got some interesting selections of current Marvel Legends, and well, not so current. I mean, Hologram Iron Man, that's a good couple of years old now. But for 2,600 yen, it's not too bad. We're looking at about 15 bucks. So the actual prices can vary massively depending on where you go or what you find. Got an old school, classic Psylocke there. I mean, man, sometimes we feel like, you know, the quality of action figures has diminished, but also in many ways, it's improved too. You know, the modern Marvel Legends Psylocke, she's terrific. But just the overall packaging there, it's so bright and colorful with the comic book art. I do love it. I can feel the zombie figures might be, you know, a lot more sought after if Giant Man gets his zombie tier. And the Iron Spider suit from back in the day, still a nice looking Marvel Legend. And I think I might, no, I didn't own this particular Wolverine. I think I owned the proper Marvel Legends one. That was one of my first ones I got. But again, he looks good. Like, they have a nice amount of shading on there, and it's still in that era of let's take a character and whack a load of random crap in there with them. Nowadays, it's like, what can we take out of the packaging? And this was something I had never seen before. Check this out. X-Men, the original team, a 5-pack of all the characters, and like, that sounds awesome, but obviously you can see that they do show their age as a set. Although look at the real, not real hair, but actual hair on Marvel Girl. Like, that's something we ain't gonna see again. And the shading on Iceman looks really nice too. It's a really fun set. I don't need it, but I do kind of love it. And then what do we got? A big chunky Thor from Select. This is the Thor armor that I really dig. I love this redesign with the chainmail. Excuse me while I drop the box on the floor. No one saw that. And then Captain America, 7,000 yen. That's a lot of scratch. That's about 40 bucks, give or take. It's a fair whack, but also it's one of the best Marvel Legends out there. And a whole lot of unboxed ones as well. And again, it's on these little pegs. You'll find the most random little discoveries, some of which are really fun, like this Armor Spider-Man here, with the diorama base, with the goon and the balaclava all webbed up. I really have got a lot of time for that. I dig that. And then, another thing that might get expensive is the Bandai Figure Arts Ant-Man Ant. I'm not picking that up though. I hopefully will do later in this video. Plus Surtur as well. And of course, there are a lot of arguments that said, hey, Hank Pym, he didn't need to be a HasLab. He could have just been this big, and it would have still worked with your collection, and I agree with that. But also, I'm a big mark who just gets excited for big HasLab projects. I can't help myself. But yeah, there you go. Well done, Dave, from the past, picking this up for the video. I think that ant looks really cool, and you know that more people might want that for a more full-on Ant-Man collection. Now we got one of the coolest shops, Astro Zombie. I kind of jumped straight over to here. So Astro Zombies, they've got a fantastic selection of old and new Marvel Legends. The only little difficulty, the caveat is, I will always ask when I go into a store, may I film in here? So I filmed this little walk-in, and then I was like, sumimasen, and then, you know, said like, is it okay if I film? And they said, actually, we would rather you didn't. So, you know, me wanting to, you know, not be an awful person, I was like, okay, fair enough. So no filming in here. This was just the initial shot that I took as I walked in to show you a few bits and pieces. And unfortunately, that's all you're going to get. So just a little tease for Astro Zombies. If you ever find yourself in Nippon Bashi, I highly recommend them. But to wrap up this little walkthrough, there is a Gachapon shop, which Gachapon are these little vending machines here. And they all have, there are thousands of them, all with different stuff. And I thought, well, you know what, to wrap up this video, let's do a Spider-Man one. So I'm putting in my 400 yen, is it? Or maybe 500? No, 400 yen. And you twist the little twisty thing, and you get your Gachapon ball out of the machine. And it's just a fun, it's kind of like a gambling mechanic, because you don't know what you're going to get. So if you're trying to complete a whole set, then that can start to rack up. But just as a one-off, random thing, I wanted to see what was in there. So we got ourselves a Spider-Man. It was listed as like a newspaper front cover from the Daily Bugle. So I thought, you know what? Let's give it a go. And here, look at my smiling face. This is what we got. It's the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Daily Bugle front cover. And it's kind of cool. I dig it. I don't know where I'll put it. I might add it to my backdrop somehow, because that's a fun little bonus little thing to get. I don't need to get the full set though. Just one is fine. And gang, that does it for my walkthrough of Osaka Nipponbashi Denden Town. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do some more of these, I think, because I like giving the Japanese flavor to this channel. And this was a pretty good example. So guys, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Cup of coffee. Cup of coffee.